The world was never quite the same after Neon Genesis Evangelion.
ザンヌさん、ビッグになりましたね。
ビッグこれが
なんで
あんまりビッグって感じしないですけど。
Evangelion was a huge critical and commercial success that revolutionised the anime industry, which at that time was struggling with decreased production due to Japan's economic crash in the early 1990s. EVA's success saw future studios change their overall approach towards productions, with resources now concentrated on fewer episodes to ensure higher quality, and more creative freedom given to creators.
でも最近ほら、なんだっけ、ほら、アニメのやつ。
アニメのやつエヴァンゲリオン
そう。あれとかほら、すごい流行ったじゃない。
流行ったね。
で、あれとかもさ、やっぱほら、相手が勝手にいろいろ考える系じゃん。
そうだね。勝手に考える系だったね。
Because of how successful and influential Evangelion was, the director of the series, Hideaki Anno, found himself in a position where he was free to dream and create just about anything he wanted. Up until this point in his career, most of Anno's work had taken place in animation, but his experience was not exclusive to this medium. Daikon Films' Return of Ultraman, which is considered Anno's directorial debut, was shot in live action, and he also experimented with the format at high school.
でもね、高校の頃になると、フィルム回したくなったんですよ。8ミリ。アニメも実写も両方とも。突然。
誰かの影響を受けて。
いや、自分でも作ってみたいってのがあったのね。そういう欲求が出てきて、で、そういうのやってたのかな。なんか、ごっこが、なんか、高じて、そっちに行ったような感じだな。多分。
Anno returned to the world of live action whilst making the end of Evangelion. Small sections of footage are included in the film, but it was being on set and using a digital camera for the making of that really captured Anno's curiosity.
エヴァンゲリオンの、あの時16ミリで撮ってたんですけど、その時に自分でメイキング用だとか言って買ったんですよね。自分で VX で。それでですね、こっちで撮影してる横でですね、ずっと一人でですね、その頃から徐々に安野さんのですね、手近弁熱と。
エヴァンゲリオンの後に、主な表現の活動の場を実写映画の方に移したというのはどうしてなんでしょうか？
そうですね。実写をやりたくなったからっていうのが一番大きな理由だと思うんですけど。アニメではないものをやりたかったんですね、エヴァの後は。
A growing interest in digital cameras and the desire to leave EVA behind were instrumental in the making of Anno's first live-action feature film, Love and Pop. Based on the novel Topaz 2 by Ryu Murakami, Love and Pop follows a group of Tokyo schoolgirls in the late 1990s.
エヴァンゲリオンに限らず僕の作品は、基本的には日本という国で育った人たち向けのドメスティックな内容でできています。
There is some important historical context to consider when it comes to watching Love and Pop. Between 1994 and 2004, many young people were unable to find employment due to the collapse of Japan's economy in the early 1990s. This generation was named the Lost Generation, and right in the midst of this period are the schoolgirls of Love and Pop and its protagonist, Hidomi. With the prospect of no future, Hidomi seeks to remain in the present. She tries to capture time with her camera and preserve her friendships, but she also understands that time forces everything to change. Hidomi's friends begin to move on, and her own desires change when she becomes fixated on purchasing an expensive ring. In order to purchase this ring, Hidomi begins engaging in a practice called subsidized dating, where older men pay younger girls for dates. Exploring self-worth and loneliness, Love and Pop serves as both a coming-of-age story and a social critique of late 90s Japan, which is a far cry from the world Anno grew up in.
この街も当時、僕は子供の頃は行動成長のイケイケでしたので、まだレッツゴーの時代だったんですけど、今はもう足踏みもしくは後退してますからね。でも僕はここの風景がやっぱいいなと思って。だからいつかここに自分の描く舞台は帰ってくるんじゃないの。
How better to capture this unfamiliar world than through the blurry texture of digital cameras, which was still a rarity in feature films back in 1997 when the film was shot. Anno pushed the limits of digital experimentation here, constantly challenging what could be achieved through angles, overlays, switches in aspect ratios and more. It's a fascinating use of style that Anno would build upon in his next film, Shiki-Jitsu.
It was very experimental for all of us. And for Anno, he did what he wanted to experiment. He has done before Shiki-Jitsu, he did Love and Pop, but he used to video camera, like a small Sony video camera. So a lot of people consider Shiki-Jitsu would be his first live action film, and like in a very big picture way.
As Anno predicted, his work would see him return to his hometown of Ube for Shiki-Jitsu, or Ritual as it's also called in English. In Ritual, a filmmaker encounters a woman who has the ritual of repeating "Ashita wa watashi no tanjoubi nano" every day. It's a simple plot that is both deeply personal to Anno, and in a rare instance its leading cast as well. One of the remarkable things about Ritual is its authorial talent on screen, consisting of Shunji Iwai who plays the director, and Ayako Fujitani who plays the character simply referred to as she. In the real world, Shunji Iwai is one of contemporary Japan's greatest directors, responsible for films such as Love Letter, Swallowtail Butterfly, and most famously, All About Lily Shushu, which is one of my personal favourite films of all time. All About Lily Shushu was filmed after Ritual, and Anno actually visited Shunji on set, which I think is such a beautiful thing. To see two masters of Japanese cinema collaborate and offer each other support is just fantastic to see, and clearly being a director already, Shunji brought unique personal experience both on and off camera to Ritual. Even more important than Shunji's personal contribution, however, is that of Ayako Fujitani, who wrote the story called Tohimu. Tohimu is a fictional retelling of Ayako's personal feelings and experiences, and is the story that Ritual was based on.
The Shiki-Jitsu was amazing because I felt more responsibility because I was the lead, and also I wrote it, and so I had a much more responsibility. That being said, I felt like I had more freedom, how to act, how to deal with it, how to manipulate the character.
While Ayako did write the original story, it was Anno himself who wrote the script for Ritual, which is evident when considering elements of the film such as the location and the character of the director. In Ritual, the director who works in animation returned to Ube from Tokyo because his usual work had exhausted him.
ものすごく今無理をしてアニメを作ってるところがあるので、そういう状況ではもうちょっと僕は作れないですね。
The director struggles to communicate with words, so he instead starts to film the girl and communicate with images.
表現というのは基本的に欠落したものを埋めていく作業だという。それを人に伝えるための努力、自分をまともにしようとする努力。とにかくまともな手段で他人と関われない人たちがちょっとうがったことをして、なんとか自分と他人との間を保っている。それが表現というもんだと思います。少なくとも僕はそうです。アニメや映画をやることによって人と関わり続けることができる。そう思います。
The director also alludes to a past he has to atone for, and he seeks relief from his own life, his own self.
あまり自分が好きになれない。でもよく言われるのは自分が好きじゃない人っていうのは自分の理想が高いからだというのよく言われるんですけど、それはそういう苦しみっていうのを分かってない人だと思います。
The parallels between the director and Anno are clear, but traces of Anno are not solely confined to this character. One of the reasons Anno chose to adapt Tohimu in the first place is that he completely understood Ayako's struggles and experiences.
僕、安野の一番最大の取り柄はね、正直に作ることだと思うんだよね。
あ
エヴァンゲリオンみたいな正直な映画を作ってね、何もないことを表明してしまったっていうね。
To be a human being is to be inherently alone, yet the human heart is fragile, and we soon grow tired of ourselves. We seek to escape from ourselves and enter new worlds, some of which we create and others which we do not. Some people desire to get lost in great worlds of fiction, or through their own work.
仕事をしてると不幸な自分を忘れることができる。だから仕事をしたいんです。
Some desire to get lost in other people, and some may even desire to cease existing altogether. No matter what our method is, we all seek the same goal of being free. But there is a limit to escapism, and as Anno already established with Evangelion, eventually we must return to reality.
現実逃避の、なんですか、よりしろとか、あとは現実からそこに逃げ込む装置みたいなものにされつつあるのがすごく見てて嫌だったんですね。
Ritual is a profound exploration of the human condition that sees Anno reinterpret many of the key themes he previously explored in Evangelion, such as trauma, loneliness and escapism, in his quintessentially introspective style. The digital cameras and overlays found in Love and Pop return here, and Anno furthers his visual experimentation by including additional animated sequences. The frequent use of voiceover highlights the characters' ever-changing thoughts and contradictions, with both characters engaged in their own never-ending war of the self versus the self. On a more personal level, the thoughts and feelings explored in Ritual felt incredibly familiar to me. Film is a mirror, and there are many aspects of myself I saw here. It's really incredible how authentic Ritual feels, and it's the perfect encapsulation of Anno's overall philosophy in film form. While Anno will always be primarily associated with Evangelion, I personally believe that Ritual is his masterpiece. It's criminal that Ritual isn't more well known, because films really don't get any better than this.
So for us, we just gathered the art department, the makeup, the wardrobe, the sound, the camera, producer, every department came to make that movie. Our feeling was that our philosophy was more like student film, but do what we want to do, go crazy, you know. So we didn't really think about making money based of it, or, you know, it was more like something pure about it. And we just did, creating art. And I'm so lucky that I was able to do it, because usually you don't get to do that with great people. Everybody was so talented in each department.
After Ritual, Anno would go on to direct Cutie Honey, a film radically different from his other live-action films.
これはもう全然僕の中ではあまり変わってないんですけど、とにかく芸風を変えた感じです。自分の中の明るいそういう部分というのを前面に出してるんですよ。
Cutie Honey is a warrior of love who has to use her magical powers to save her uncle from the evil gang called Panther Claw. Anno really let out his inner otaku here and created a fun and goofy tokusatsu film, or more simply a film with lots of special effects.
現場で一番大事にしたかったのは心意気みたいなものです。心意気、お客さんに見せたいものは現場の心意気ですね。なんか勢いみたいなもの。なんかそういうものをなんかフィルムに定着させてみたい。
Cutie Honey is a great time, and it's hard not to like a film made with so much love and creative passion. The film is a fitting conclusion to Anno's live-action run of films, with him returning to the world of anime thereafter. What a fascinating period these three live-action films are in the career of one of Japan's most legendary anime directors. It really pains me to see Anno struggle through his art and be at constant war with himself. When you're on the inside of something, it can be hard to see the brilliance of what you're doing, but whilst Anno can't see it, we can. Despite all of his struggles and constant pain, all three of these films end on a positive note. Anno reassures us that no matter where we are now or what we might face, existence will heal our pain. What a beautiful thought that is. Thank you so much for your masterful work and for simply existing, Anno-sensei.
自分が作ったアニメは好きですか？
まあ好きといえば好きですけど、結構嫌いなところもあります。
嫌いなところはどんなところですか？
自分が出てるところ